Hi there, and welcome to a Student Services podcast. My name is Christina Ketchum, and I will be taking you through the college kickoff meeting for parents. The meetings were originally held January 9th and 10th here at TJ, so if you weren't able to attend, hopefully you'll find this information useful. Please be advised that I will be talking very quickly to get through the material. Please feel free to pause and rewind, or pause and look at some of the slides as they include screenshots of one of the resources that you will be using during the college process. This is part one. There will be a second part that you'll need to access as well. So the first thing I want to do is talk about myths. You all know that there are a lot of rumors out there in regards to college. I want to dispel those for you. The first one is that everyone at TJ gets into an Ivy League college. Absolutely not true. For the class of 2012, 21% of TJ seniors were accepted into an Ivy League school. There are 8 Ivies, and 93 students were accepted out of a class size of 445. So it's a pretty good percentage, but certainly not anywhere near the whole class. Of the students that were accepted, of the whole class, 13% chose to go to an Ivy. Most choose against it based on financial reasons. 46% though, almost half of the class went to a Virginia public school, and this is pretty consistent every school year. We're very lucky to live in a state where all of our public schools, regardless of selectivity, are wonderful. So we've got really great choices and can save a lot of money. The second rumor is that everyone at TJ gets a 2400 on the SAT. Again, this is absolutely not true. The average SAT score for the class of 2012 was a 2153. So anything generally in the 21 to 2200 range is what we see most every day. And the last rumor we want to dispel is that everyone at TJ applies to 15 schools. Please discourage your students from doing this. The average number of schools applied to for 2012 was 7. You can do it in less if you do good research. Usually kids who have longer lists are those looking into specialized programs or athletes. There are plenty of reasons, but not doing your homework should not be one of them. Save yourself some money. Don't apply to a million schools. So you're probably thinking, what's my timeline? So junior year, right now, we want your kids to be planning and reading and planning and reading and reading some more and doing all sorts of research. The internet is going to be their best friend. They need to attend junior meetings with their counselor. The counselor will let you know if they encourage parents to come. And we also hope that you will be visiting schools so your kids have a good idea of what their preferences are. March through June, we're going to be encouraging your kids to be taking the SAT, reasoning, and subject tests, as well as the ACT, and colleges will readily accept both the SAT and the ACT, so either one is fine. Subject tests, they need basically just to check the box to say that they did it, but most schools will want them to take 2 and have it done by the time they apply. They're going to need to ask teachers for letters of recommendation by the end of the year. We will be talking to your kids about the best way to ask and which subjects are appropriate. You want to check on the school's websites to figure out if they have specific subjects that they want the letters of recommendation to come from, or if they don't have a preference. And then all counselors will be requiring students to do the dreaded junior packet, which is some pre-writing for your kids. It also includes some homework for parents, so please be advised. We'll be sending those out to your kids via email and Blackboard relatively shortly, and we hope that your kids will do a really excellent, thoughtful job on those. Over the summer, we encourage your kids to do something meaningful. It needs to be something that they're passionate about. It could be an internship, it could be getting a job at the mall, it could be taking a college course, it could be going to summer camp or some other type of enrichment program. It really doesn't matter as long as they do something. We encourage them to set up their Common App account. Common App is sort of a catch-all for college applications. Most schools will participate in it, so they fill out the application once and it goes out to multiple schools so the kids can make their account ahead of time. Good idea to get familiar with that. They need to begin their essays. The first step with this will be doing the college packet for their counselor, so if they've done that, they're already a step ahead. Taking time to write your essays early really saves a lot of time later on. And then just generally getting organized. Parents, you definitely can help them with that, making lists and that sort of thing. So, how do you make a list? Please begin thinking about all sorts of things. There are many things to consider when you're choosing whether a school is right. So, we generally will say start with a big long list, 15 to 20 schools or so. Think about the program of study, when you want to major in, selectivity, can I actually get in? Is it a reach, a range, or a safety? Student life and culture, do I want to go to a really conservative school? Do I want a school with Greek life? Do I want a school that has the activities that I continue to do now? Location, how far away can I get from mom and dad? Well, you probably don't want to hear that, but some of them will be thinking that. Or do I need a plane ticket to get to my school from home, or can I drive there? That sort of thing. How about size? Many kids will not have a preference for size until they actually go visit, so that's a plus for visiting. Public versus private, that goes in hand with the next item, which is finances. Many times public school is a better deal, almost always, but many private schools do offer good financial aid packages and scholarship opportunities, so please have that conversation with your students and let them know if any limits are placed on where they can look for schools based on your financial situation. Also, don't forget about specialized programs such as military academies, ROTC, and accelerated medical and law school programs. So to begin their research, you can use Family Connection, which I will run through here in a few minutes. It's available to you on Blackboard, and you also can do research by visiting colleges again. You may be taking the Almighty College Road Trip over spring break, which is always a lot of fun for families. You can look at mini books. Some of the ones we recommend are the Fisk Guide to Colleges and the 2 books listed there by Dr. Catherine Cohen. We always recommend a trip to the College and Career Center with Mrs. Lori Kobick. Unfortunately, Mrs. Kobick is moving her room due to TJ's renovation schedule, so she won't be available to meet with parents probably until mid-February or later, so hold off on giving her a call, but her website is very informative. We always recommend College Search websites, so it's good for generating names of schools you might not have thought about. There are plenty of them out there on the internet. And then in the fall, we often have upwards of 150 schools come to TJ visiting during lunch and 8th period. Your kids can sign up and meet the representatives. So I mentioned previously Family Connection, which you can find by logging into Blackboard. Should be right there on the main screen when you log in. If you click on it and then click on the Colleges tab, you will find a wealth of resources. And one of the things that our kids find most useful are scattergrams. And so these scattergrams are showing you where your child fits within the numbers of students who were accepted or not accepted to a particular school. So look at the first one. Virginia Tech is our example. The red circle with the green dot in the middle is the student that we're looking at. So that student, you can see, sort of see the red circle within the big mass of green squares there at the top. That means that that student was accepted, and the green squares represent all the other students from TJ who were accepted. So basically what you're looking at is where your student fit in with the students that were accepted, and to see whether or not they're on track to probably be accepted or not. So it's a good idea to look at these and find out whether or not your student for that particular school, whether it's a reach, a target, or a safety. So moving on to the next one, we're looking at Stanford, and you can see that Stanford has a lot less green squares, and that particular student with the X in their circle was not accepted to Stanford. And then the following slide, you can see Carnegie Mellon, which we would consider for that particular student a target or range school. They were accepted, but it generally was a 50-50 shot for that school. Moving on, Family Connection does have their own college search, which you just put in some preferences and it'll spit out a list of schools to look at, which is always helpful. The next slide shows the Compare Me feature, which is my favorite part of Family Connection. Much like the scattergrams, you are comparing yourself with the admissions data that we've collected on the previous year's senior class for any number of schools, which you can add to your list or delete as you are interested in them. So anything that's green means that your student's GPA or SAT score is above the average of those who were accepted, and anything that's red means your student is below. If you see red, don't necessarily be discouraged, particularly if it's very close, but feel free to ask your counselor if they think that if it's a good fit or a range or a safety or a reach for your student, because we can see the patterns then you all can only see just 1 year. So use your counselor as a resource when you're using this feature. We also have overlaps, so you can see this particular slide. Anybody who liked Rice also likes, they also like UVA, they also like Duke, all sorts of schools. So that's a good way to get information about additional similar schools. And then on the same vein, you can see other students also applied. For many schools, you can see the percentage of students who also applied to other similar schools. Okay, I'm going to pause now and move on to part 2. So please access the College Kickoff Meeting Part 2 podcast